I really liked, the more I think about it, I really liked what Andrew Berry did in free agency. There were some guys that he spent big money on. Then he went with younger guys, like the Carl Josephs and Kevin Johnsons, who were first round picks that are now, somebody gave up on them. They have talent. You put them in this system, 1-year deals. Let's see what you can do. There's a method to what he is doing, being Andrew Berry, building this roster. And if you look close enough, you can see what he is doing.
And that's the thing, GMs, boy, and having connection between all your front office, your coach, and your GM, it's so important because really, truly, if you're good long term, you turn over the whole roster constantly. I mean, again, when you look at like Russell Wilson's tenure in Seattle, it's basically Russell Wilson on offense and Bobby Wagner on defense, and everybody else has changed. So you've constantly, the way the cap works, the way good players price themselves out, you have to replenish yourself constantly. So it's like the Browns have been in such a hole. They're trying to drag themselves back like a normal mid-tier quality NFL roster. But once you get there, you can't sit back because you've got to replenish. So it's great to think about Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, a lot of these kind of big money, talented guys. But honestly, long term, if the Browns do manage to win and they want to keep winning, they can't keep all those guys. You'll pick maybe Baker and Myles, and the rest are going to cycle through. So you need to have a GM, and to your point about Andrew Berry, who can pick and choose, pluck in the draft, find the next crop of young guys that can develop for 5 years while they're pretty cheap. You pluck veterans here and there to fill need. You use free agency for need. You use the draft for talent, and you are constantly replenishing because as soon as you stop doing that, you're going to fall off a cliff. But right now, the Browns are building up, and then you hope you have a GM that can keep you here. And my gosh, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to watch?
Hey, here's another thought. Is a function of this dysfunction the fact that you keep changing systems, you keep changing coaches, you keep changing GMs, so there is not a quote-unquote guy that fits our system because our system keeps changing. Is that where the Browns are at because of the constant turnover?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, do they stink because of the turnover, or has there been turnover because the guys they hired stink, right? I mean, it's like, I'm not an advocate for like, well, this guy is terrible, but in the name of continuity, let's give him 6 years. If you're terrible at your job, you're terrible at your job. But yes, and this is, I think, more important than ever. They are more, I think, geared toward a system now than ever. And so this, if this one doesn't work, this is really going to hurt if you wind up with a quick hook because you are really steering into a roster that's not just supposed to be a talented roster, but one that really fits an idea of how the coach wants to play. So if Kevin Stefanski is not here for like at least 3 or 4 years, I think it's going to be an even more difficult sort of reassessment teardown. But yeah, but it's more on the front end, right? I mean, they haven't been bad because they fired people. They've been forced to fire people because the people they hired were bad, So I mean, like Ray Farmer didn't deserve more time. It's like, oh, give Ray Farmer more shots at the no, that was not it. Hugh Jackson did not deserve more time. So you just got to hope Berry and Stefanski are the guys. And then if they show it, now, if there's growing pains, let them grow a little bit, right? You can't panic. But if they're not good, if they blow it, if Kevin Stefanski, I mean, again, I think we're a little bit down the path now of like everybody hated what happened with Freddie Kitchens. They thought he stunk. There's a lot of embracing of Kevin Stefanski like this. He's never been a head coach before, right? So we can't have a ton of assumptions about this guy. He seems smart, and I hope he gets his shot.